Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Mimi. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I'm gonna keep looking this way because when I look this way, I start looking cross-eyed. So I'd rather just look at this way. But for those of you who are just joining my channel, I'm gonna be talking about mental health in all of my videos. Anything related to it. It can be directly, it could be indirectly. So it's not all the time. It'll just be like, this is what this is what that is. So it's anything related to it completely, okay? From my last video, I was talking about how I got kicked out of school. So for some of y'all who just rejoined me, either you are interested in my videos or y'all are just nosy. Y'all just want to know what I did and what happened, but it's cool. Y'all can listen to parts of the story. So when I got kicked out, they gave me 3 sanctions. I think it was 3 sanctions, probably more than 3 sanctions. One of them was having to see a therapist for like 6 weeks. The other one was going to anger management. And then the next one, I got kicked out of the dorm I was in forever. And that sucked really bad. But so my first day of going to see the therapist, I was so nervous. I was just like, I don't want to share my business. I don't want people knowing what I'm thinking. But honestly, it was very helpful talking to somebody, because sometimes you can talk to your friends about certain things or your family members about certain things, but going to go see someone else, you know, you'll have like an unbiased opinion on things. And sometimes you don't want people interjecting. You just want to express how you're feeling and what's going on. So after a while of seeing her, she was just like, you're depressed. I was like, what? Me? No, I'm not. What are you talking about? I'm just sad. She was like, no, you're depressed. I was like, okay. And so right away, automatically, they want to start offering you medication and all this type of stuff. But I went more on the natural route of things. There's nothing wrong with taking medication. There's some people you really do need it, especially if you continuously become manic, you have your mania, if you're bipolar, or if you have schizophrenia, especially if you are putting other people in danger or yourself in danger. You really do need it. Okay, so I'm not saying anything against that, because I've seen it help a lot of people when I was in the inpatient program. But when I went to the anger management course, I was super duper nervous, because I was just like, what type of people am I going to run into? Are these people just crazy? Are they just angry people, you know? And once I got there, it was completely different from what I thought it was. There were people who just had an incident just like me. They had a bad moment and they did something stupid. Things that I took from the therapy session was, sometimes it's good to speak. It's good to let your emotions out, show how you feel, because a lot of the times I used to just keep things in versus expressing how I was feeling, and eventually became a buildup and it came out the wrong way. So if you keep things in, it might not be the current situation that you're in, but it'll be another situation that will occur, and that will bring about a even worse situation. With the anger management, I learned that there are stages before you get to 100. There are things that you can do to stop you from handling it the wrong way. So there's nothing wrong with having anger. It's just the way that you express it. And a lot of people, when they heard I had to go to anger management, they're like, you don't need anger management. I'm like, yeah, me. I was like, I am innocent, okay? It's like, no, I'm not an angry person. Like, usually I'm very peaceful. I'm the type of person who brings people together. But in that situation, it goes to show that anybody is capable of anything, you know? So after going through the courses, I learned that if someone's talking to me some type of way, being disrespectful, or if I feel certain things from my childhood may have occurred that can trigger me to get to a level 100. I learned that sometimes it's good, yes, to walk away, but sometimes it's good to express how you're feeling. Let the person know, like, this is not working for me. I mean, now if you piss me off, you're gonna know. I'm not gonna keep it in. I let you know how I feel. And even if there's certain situations, sometimes it's good not to say anything. And there's certain times that I'll just pull someone aside, like, hey, I don't think this was okay. I think this would have been okay. And sometimes it's good to just listen to people, because you're not always right. Sometimes you're the problem. Sometimes you're the issue. Sometimes things that you say might get people to act a certain way. So after doing that, there was the semester came by, the next semester came by, and I saw all of my friends graduating, and I felt horrible. I was just like, wow, this should have been me, but I made such a dumb decision, and now I'm watching them graduate. I felt embarrassed. I felt really stupid. I felt like, how could you make this decision? And some friends were supportive, and then there were some friends who would just add on to those negative thoughts, like, why would you do that? That's so dumb. You should know better. And this goes to show to anybody, if you know someone who's going through a crisis or a certain situation, it's better to be more supportive of the person. Yes, be real with the person. Let the person know, like, you shouldn't have handled it that way. But at the same time, don't put someone down furthermore from their situation. Let the person know that, hey, I'm here. You know, I'm not gonna shun you out because you did something dumb. And a lot of people did shun me out after the situation. They're just like, that was that girl who's acting dumb, stupid. Yeah, you know, but whatever. But in reality, the situation was a blessing in disguise, because it got me in the field that I was in, because I was a psych major at the time. It helped me to relate to the people that I was working with, because to be honest, I've had other situations. I've had life struggles, you know. It wasn't always perfect, but I've never experienced anything like that. It also made me understand myself better, be more aware of who I am as a person and what I'm capable of. Eventually, I started looking for jobs as soon as I left school, and I was able to get a volunteering position at an elderly facility, and that was the most fulfilling of everything else. I think that's what helped me the most too, helping other people. And I don't know what it was, but it just brought some type of fulfillment to me to help other people. And I think that feeds into coping skills as well in situations. Volunteer, help people do something different. So then I had to also return. I also needed to find a job, because I needed money for my own things, because I wanted to eat my own foods, or the little bills that I had at the time. I don't think my bills are that bad back then. It was me just wanting little, you know, change, some type of pocket, something to put in my pocket or whatever. But so I went back to working at Giant, and I could have been a cashier because I used to be a cashier, but I was just like, I don't want to run into family or friends and explain what I did and what happened. So I was like, I want to work in the deli. Worst thing ever. It's so hard working at the deli. It is. That was a lot of work. Holding buckets, cleaning the floors. It was. That was hell for me. Okay, it was just too much. But during that time, I would just break out in crying spells. I would just cry over anything and everything. You know, as soon as I thought of the situation, I'll just start crying. And that was not normal for me. Like I said before, I was someone who used to keep things in a lot of the times. So when it just got to a point, I guess, I just could not keep things in anymore. It was just like, it was just coming out completely. So after working at Giant and then also volunteering, I started asking people like, hey, do you know of any positions that are related to psychology? Because I was my major at the time. Do you have any positions available? Do you know anyone who knows of any positions available? And eventually I was able to get an internship. And with that internship, I was able to get my full-time position working as an addictions and mental health counselor in an inpatient program. And that was such a blessing because I didn't even have my degree yet. And I didn't even know if I would be able to get back into school. But after I finished the anger management, seeing the therapist, and I was working from like I'll be up from like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. working. So I'll do the Giant, volunteering, and then seeing a therapist, right? And then at times going to the anger management, all of those things, okay? I was working like crazy hours. But all of that, I guess, kept my mind, even though I'd keep thinking about the situation, but it kept me busy at the same time. And at the same time, it made me relatable to the people that I was working with because I understood what they were going through. And when I had the internship, all I had to do was just observe people. So I was just learning everything. And then once I became a counselor, it was just like, oh my gosh, I felt it was such a blessing. I was just like, oh God, you had something more for me. All I was doing was just praying, reading my Bible. I started working out more. That helped a lot. Talking to certain people. Sometimes you don't want to disclose certain things to certain people because they take advantage of you being in your situation. There's some people who smile in your face and just be happy that, yeah, you're not perfect. Yeah, you have a problem. Yeah, I'm human. And I feel like happiness is not something that you can just achieve. There's no human being that can, you can be happy, but it's something that is like this. It's like the clouds. It changes over time. It's an emotion. You're not always going to be happy. You're not always going to be sad. You're not always going to be angry. It's going to change over time. And a lot of people, I feel as if happiness is just a constant state, and that's not the case. Human beings cannot reach mental health is not a perfection, right? It's something that interchanges, okay? Happiness is when you have some type of equilibrium between the mental, the physical, and the spiritual state. So when I say mental, that's your thoughts. When I say physical, that's like what's going on with your body, understanding that, right? That's like working out. Or it could be for some people, I guess, yoga. And yoga can tie into spiritual as well. And then also for me, personally, it was going to church or listening to those sermons or praying. That helps as well. But I say all this to say that whatever you give out in the earth, that's what you're going to get back. Yes, you can pray and do all of those things, but you also have to take those steps to be where you want to be in life. And understand that nothing is going to always be a certain way. You're not always going to be sad. Certain situations might happen, but things will change over time. So eventually, I was able to go back to student conduct, and I spoke to them. And at the end of speaking with them, I was crying, I was bawling. They were crying too from the situation. And they were just like, hey, the reason why we did this was not to have you not come back. We wanted you to come back. We just wanted you to be accountable for what you did. And I did become accountable for what I did. And I was deeply, deeply, deeply sorry from the situation. And that goes for everybody else. Sometimes, yes, certain things keep happening to you, or certain family members or friends treat you a certain way, but sometimes you just need to take accountability for what you do as well. You have to take accountability for certain things that keep happening. It depends on what your situation is, of course, but sometimes you need to put your best foot forward and actually take steps to change a situation. You can't just sit there pray and hope for the situation to change. No, you have to work for it. You have to go out there and make your change. And sometimes that work for it could be just asking for help. It could be just talking to somebody. I know a lot of people have a hard time reaching out to people, but you don't necessarily have to just talk to family or friends. You can go see a therapist, and there's nothing wrong with that. I want people to understand that it's good for you to get things out of you. It's what makes things worse is when you keep things in. And you can take my situation as a great example that if you keep things in, eventually it's going to come out and it's not going to be pretty, you know? And I feel like you have to suffer in some type of way. If you don't suffer, you're not going to really understand how great it was that you are where you are. I feel like you appreciate the things that you have and where you are in life when you go through some type of struggle. And with that struggle, you can learn even more. And even from situations, yes, you might struggle from one situation. Doesn't mean you should avoid it. You know, that means you face it. You have to put your first foot forward and actually deal with the situation. You can't keep pushing certain situations away and hoping that it's just going to fix itself. You have to do something about it. Okay. So I hope that my story was helpful to you guys in some type of way. And I promise I will have more content eventually in my other videos. I had like a notebook of everything that I wanted to talk about, and life happens. Sometimes it's better that you don't have a notebook, that you speak from your heart. I think that's actually a lot smoother than just reading you guys a textbook of information. Lack of sleep, sleeping too much, physical pain, not having interest in activities you used to have interest in. And I mean that drastically, like 1 minute you're interested in something, but then the next week you stop doing those things. Those are all examples of depression. If you know somebody or if you are depressed, there are places that you can look at or people that you can talk to that can help you. And I'll leave those resources or in the link below, or you guys can, I'll have it at the end of the video.